जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज
यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी।
यशोदनंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुनतिरवनचारी।
यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी।
यशोदनंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुनतिरवनचारी।
यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी।
यशोदनंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुनतिरवनचारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरे
कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gauranga Premanande Hari 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 Bol. Bolo Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam. Nitai Gauranga Bhagwan Jai Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Welcome everyone in this wonderful culture of Bhagavad study. It's essential part of the Param Dharma Bhagavad Dharma. Today we will study in Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, chapter 18, text number 42. The chapter entitled give me 1 second. Okay. Text number 42. Diti vows to kill King Indra. Nahi kaschit priya strinam anjasa swashit satmatamnam patim putram bhataram va dhantyam dhantyarthe ghatayanti cha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada. So this is Kashyap Muni lamenting how he feels like totally trapped by his beautiful or very subservient kind of nature wife, Diti. So he goes, anyway, let us read the translation. He's continuing, he's just expressing his realization. To satisfy their own interests, women deal with men as if the men were most dear to them. But no one is actually dear to them. Women are supposed to be very saintly, but for their own interests, they can kill even their husbands. Sons or brothers would force them to be killed by others. Purport. A woman's nature has been particularly well studied by Kashyapa Muni. Women are self-interested by nature, and therefore they should be protected by all means so that their natural inclination to be too self-centered or too self-interested will not be manifested. Women need to be protected by men. A woman should be cared for by her father in her childhood, by her husband in her youth, and by her grown sons in her old age. This is the injunction of Manu, who says that a woman should not be given independence at any stage. Women must be cared for so that they will not be free to manifest their natural tendency for gross selfishness. There have been many cases, even in the present day, in which women have killed their husbands to take advantage of their insurance policies. This is not a criticism of women, but a practical study of their nature. Such natural instincts of a woman or a man are manifested only in bodily conception of life. When either a man or a woman is advanced in spiritual consciousness, the bodily conception of life practically vanishes. We should see all women as spiritual units, Aham Brahmasmi, whose only duty is to satisfy Krishna. Then the influences of the different modes of material nature, which result from one's possessing a material body, will not act. Then the influences of the different modes of material nature, which result from one's possessing a material body, will not act. The Krishna consciousness movement is so beneficial that it can very easily counteract the contamination of material nature, which results from one's possessing a material body. Bhagavad Gita therefore teaches in the very beginning that whether one is a man or a woman, one must know that he or she is not the body but a spiritual soul. Everyone should be interested in the activities of the spirit soul, not the body. As long as one is activated by the bodily conception of life, there is always the danger of being misled. Whether one is a man or a woman, the soul is sometimes described as Purusha, because whether one is dressed as a man or a woman, one is inclined to enjoy this material world. One who has this spirit of enjoyment is described as Purusha. Whether one is a man or a woman, he is not interested in serving others. Everyone is interested in satisfying his or her own senses. Krishna consciousness, however, provides first-class training for a man or a woman. A man should be trained to be a first-class devotee of Lord Krishna. And a woman should be trained to be a very chaste follower of her husband. That will make the lives of both of them happy. Wow. Om Adhyana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Swarupa Damodar Swami Niti Namine Namasad Bhaktamanaye Manipurudhavaya Jai Srila Prabhupada Lasadvani Prachara Niratayate Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Shri Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Nam Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranasyanam Pranamo Dukkha Shamanas Tam Namami Haram Param Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। So this is uh,
Hare Krishna, Maharaji. Yeah.
as a human being, how to just one second. As a human being, the pitfalls. As a human being, we are endowed with a very, very special, unique intelligence, which makes us stand out. Not only in our observation, because everybody being self-centered, so everybody wants to stand out, correct? Just think of this psychological. Everybody wants to rule. Everybody wants to feel like a king. This is a material condition. But in one particular aspect, this is we stand out. This is also acknowledged by God, and we have to use that Krishna acknowledging, God acknowledging that we do stand out. We are especially blessed. We are uniquely exclusive. We have a exclusive blessing as a human being. And Krishna just within his creation, he just put a human being in a very special category. Although human being is also an animal, because the propensities for sense gratification, just like animals, we have very much similar, because we are also animals, human animal nonetheless. We have the same tendencies for unrestricted sense gratification. But because we have been given a special intelligence, we restrict, we pause, we don't become uchrinkal. Hindi mein shabda uchrinkal means unruly, not seeing the consequences, just like the, if any animal eats some sweets from a sweet shop, then it has to also suffer the consequences. We also have the temptation for enjoyment, but if it is not our quota, we know that we may face the consequences. So we are alert. So we do stealing, just to overcome the consequences. But again, stealing also has the consequences. So ultimately, this special privilege prerogative given to a human being, it comes with an obligation. Everybody wants to be the best. God made us best. Sishtva Purani Vividhani Adhyatma Shaktya Vrikshan Sari Sripa Pashun Khagadanda Sukan Taistair Atushta Hridayam Purusham Vidhaya. Purusham is the human being. Vidhaya created. Brahma Avalokanam Vishanam Mudamapadeva. Krishna endowed the human being. Brahma Avalokanam. Brahma means the supreme. Avalokam means to observe, to inquire, to become inquisitive about. Every human being has that special, unique tendency, proclivity to search after the source of everything, the science. So every human being is a natural scientist. You don't have to become graduate from a so-called material science or any science. A human being is naturally born as a scientist. He has that inquisitive faculty. He's searching after the eternal bliss, eternal anand. And in that pursuit, he has been failing again and again. But every time he gets this human form life, by Krishna's special arrangement, by God's special arrangement, because Krishna is a facilitator. So he creates a situation where he can progress in one's ultimate quest for eternal happiness. Brahmavaloka Dhishnam Mudam Apadeva. And seeing this possibility in every human being, Krishna became pleased. Mudam Apadeva. So this is a very beautiful thing. Just like we educate our children, and then to test them how much they have hold, how much they have held what they have been educated. So it's like a hide and seek game, sometimes puzzle. And puzzle is given to one who has the capacity to solve the puzzle, correct? If you give a puzzle to someone, doesn't make sense. If it doesn't have the capacity, if it doesn't have the. So in the same way, human life is a real opportunity given by Krishna to us, given by nature. Let's leave Krishna aside, because when we talk about God, different people have their own limited ideas about God, and that's why everybody can challenge. If anybody explains about God, people have natural tendency, because they don't settle. So first, in order to describe someone or something, we have to have the common definition. Without that, it won't be possible. But here, the subject matter is very, very serious. A human being has to go through this checkpoint. Human being also, as in every creation, the male and the female, both are created because for the progeny continuation, both are required. They have a role. But that means human beings are not deprived from this sense gratification, engrossment with the body. But there is a higher purpose. And if that higher purpose and the higher test is ignited in a human being, then one can transcend, which animals cannot do. You cannot make a dog act any different than a dog, a donkey, a horse. They are totally, their whole existence is totally controlled by the instincts. Human being can be modified. Human being may have the same, and he has the same tendency as a dog or any other animal, but he can restrict. And that's why these scriptures, they are just actually elevating our, reminding of our higher potential. Scriptures are, doesn't matter. Scriptures would be of interest to every human being. Doesn't matter where he is, because scriptures are totally devoted to the human being. Because we say, oh, what is this? What kind of statement? Yes, scriptures, the whole creation is manifestation. Without human being, it will have no meaning. It will have no purpose. The whole creation is a background, but ultimately to involve the human beings, to attract human beings, connect them to Krishna. And that's why Krishna manifests his beautiful pastimes in this background of this beautiful nature, vegetation, birds, beasts, everything. But to what end? To attract, capture attention, to make him think, to stir his special intelligence to search out, to go after the source of everything, the summum bonum, the very foundation. Because he wants to understand, he wants to know what is his purpose, what is his in this whole existence. And this special interest of as a human being becomes baffled by this aspect, which we are describing. Kashyap Muni acknowledges that his knowledge about what is right, what is wrong, what is detrimental, what is beneficial. And in spite of that, this is the irony. That in spite of having the knowledge of what is for his perfection of life and what is detrimental to him, in the name of following dharma, in the name of following, taking care of the duty of or fulfill the desire of his wife, he gets trapped because he crossed the line, he crossed the limit, and which is very much possible. It is possible for Kashyap Muni. What to speak about others? Those who don't have the bona fide relationship with the married wife. Most people in the modern society, they're just going simply by why to worry, why to take trouble of getting married and just becoming subjugated by so many obligations to take care of the wife and children. The famous example Prabhupada gives: if the milk is available in the market so freely, so cheaply, why to take trouble to take care of a cow? It's that simple. The whole idea is, as a human being, we have to address these things, the reality of it, and how to keep our focus on the real purpose of human, so that we can be proud of ourselves. False ego, everybody is proud, right? But we should allow ourselves to become proud for the real thing. Of course, ultimately, our real pride is that I am an eternal servant of Krishna, or eternal servant of Krishna, servant and servant of Krishna. Ultimately, one must take pride to become devoted to the highest devotee of Krishna. So that potential is given in the wonderful scriptures. So as far as the male-female aspect entanglement is described, well, the subject matter is so wonderfully discussed, but the vision as far as us who are in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings, Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, and they are providing some very, very special direction in our lives. So how this attraction to the female, male to female, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu so seriously, God himself acting as a devotee, and is reminding, especially for those who are very serious to attain perfection in this very lifetime. Those who want to attain this perfection, what is perfection? Perfection is nothing but the transformation of our consciousness from seeing how, as we open our eyes, open our ears, and all the senses, the sense objects, how they appeal to us. The natural tendency of a Purusha, which the Prabhupada writes in the purport. Purusha means, this is for me. Every object, every person appeals to us as an object of our gratification. Right? That is called material. Material means divisive. What is there for me, not caring for others. Rather, others are also made for me. So from this consciousness, this kind of animalistic propensity, the conversion to be able to see, to be able to see every object and every person as an instrument of Krishna's service. This is so same person, human being, in the conditioned state, this natural, so-called natural, because it is polluted, it is detrimental to him. His tendency to observe everything as an object of his gratification, his exploitation. From that consciousness to the culture of Krishna consciousness, the transformation is when one is able to see every object and every person as an instrument of Krishna's service, including oneself, including one's mind, one's body, one's speech, and everything. Because that will free us, or that will take us to our eternal identity, that will Jivera Swarup Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. 1,000 times we have heard this and heard again. And still, why eternal service, why eternal existence, or to be able to live in my eternal Swarup, eternal nature, why it doesn't appeal us so hugely? Because of this struggle between this conditioning and that ideal which we want to achieve. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a sadhaka says, Nishkinchanasya Bhagavad Bhajano Mukhache. Now we are totally focusing our this expression only in context of us sadhakas. The irony is, after we have understood properly, we have imbibed this understanding of the our goal is to perfect our human potential, to attain the love and attraction for Krishna, to become connected with Krishna, with incessant loving thoughts, to find our attachment to Krishna. From this attachment of male to female to attachment to Krishna is the supreme male, or the only male. How to realize our soul nature, as we discussed a few weeks ago. The soul nature is feminine, is trained. How to realize that? Both female and male, whether one is in a male body or female body, the soul nature has to be here, because soul is neither male or female as a person, but in its disposition, in its soul's natural pure disposition, it is a feminine. Disposition is feminine. So that the femaleness has to be realized, but in relation to whom? Only in Krishna. That is so essential, and it is the ultimate benefit for the soul. Now, in spite of understanding this, and if we truly want to become, for those who truly want to become serious about realizing one's eternal soul nature in relation to Krishna, we are not putting the soul in isolation. Because bliss, we are all bliss seekers, ananda seekers. So we have to, it would be very natural for everyone to find their intense attraction, tibra attraction for Krishna. When this contemplation along this thought is given, what is in the highest interest of the soul. And in order to protect it, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Nishkinchanasya Bhagavad Bhajanon Mukhasya Param Param Jigamishwar Bhava Sagarasya Sandarshanam Vishainam Atha Yoshitam Ha Hanta Hanta Vishabhakshanatopya Sadhu. Those who are serious to attain perfection, attain the perfection of bhajan, to realize their incessant attraction in the service of Krishna. Param Param Jigamishwar Bhava Sagaras. He says that association with worldly people. Worldly people means those who are interested in this enjoyment of the bodily pleasures. Sandarshanam Vishainam Atha Yoshitamcha, or those, or the women. Yoshitamcha means the women, or those who are attached to the women. It's worse than drinking poison knowingly. Wow. You know, this is a very classical, unique, lucid, such a figurative translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Means it is such a fascinating translation of that. They said it is worse than drinking poison willingly, knowingly. So that means everybody drinks poison willingly only, knowingly only. You know? Have you heard anybody drink poison forcefully or cryingly? Everybody ever, the history shows that everybody drank poison खुशी खुशी, है ना? इसीलिए इसे कहते भी है खुद खुशी. Because when a person wants to commit suicide, he thinks, oh, this poison is the most wonderful thing. I can get over with my present situation, which is most intolerable, correct? So one commits suicide to get a relief, and everybody is happy to get something which will relieve us from our intolerable or unbearable situations. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, for a serious person for spiritual perfection, to associate with worldly minded people, Vishayina, to associate, to remain interested in unlimited aspects, unlimited attractive aspects of women. Her body, her speech, and everything. Krishna glorifies, or as a vibhuti, that seven aspects, beautiful aspects. So if a woman is not addressed in connection to the spiritual perfection, then as she has remained for men the cause of distraction from the spiritual vision. It's a very terrible. So why it is more dangerous than committing suicide? Because when a person commits suicide, then his body is gone. Then his next situation, something, because a person commits suicide in ignorance. This is the main aspect. So in ignorance, if a person gives up his body, he will get another opportunity. And again, he has to work up to come to the platform of transcendental knowledge. But for a sadhak who is already situated on transcendental platform, correct? Sadhana bhakti means to protect our atmosphere, protect our time and space. It is so essential. Sadhana bhakti protects us from the downfall. And among the human society also, even Lord Krishna says, Bahunam Janmanamante, Jnanvan Mam Praptati. And then, Manushyanam Sahasreshu Kaschit Yatati Siddhe, Yatatam Api Siddhanam Kaschin Mam Vetti Tatvatah. So those who have come, join this path of pure devotional service in Krishna's estimation, in Krishna's view, we have become that rare person already. Kaschin Mam Vetti Tatvatah, only devotees know Krishna. We are that rare. We are not in the comparison of, in the eyes of Krishna, as those who are trying to understand the absolute truth. Manushyanam se kaschin yatati siddhe. We are not after siddhis. We are not just regular, trying something to understand who is God. Yatatam api siddhanam. We are beyond that. Kaschin mam veti tattvata. A devotee knows Krishna. He's the goal. He's the purpose. Vasudeva para veda. Vasudeva para makha. Vasudeva para yoga. Vasudeva para kriya. Vasudeva param jnanam. Vasudeva param tapa. Vasudeva paro dharma. Vasudeva para gati. This superlative position, the whole existence is meant to realize, is to glorify Vasudeva. Whole existence, except a human being, a conditioned human being. I'm not saying conditioned dog or anybody, because they are indirectly serving Krishna's cause without fail. The failure is only on the part of the human being. Only human being has failed since eternity. We cannot blame that failure on the part of any other species, whether devatas or animals or anyone, amoeba or whosoever. Failure is attached to human being because he is expected to succeed. Only he alone. And so all these instructions, warnings given by the sadhakas, the pure devotees, even God himself, he acts just to establish the standard of alertness we all must have. We are already become rare in the eyes of Krishna. How can we afford to let go? How can we afford to disappoint Krishna now after hearing and understanding and culturing our life? It's difficult. We have come this much forward. Now, how can we relax? I just want to use one example because subject matter is very, very deep, just to ignite our interest in our utter absolute seriousness. It's a focus. We become saturated very quickly. That is the disease. That makes us ordinary. That makes us underachiever, underperformer. It's a passion. As we have come on this path of sadhana bhakti, still the sanskaras, the impressions, they are very strong. How to safeguard? We all come with so much desire for fulfilling our material desires, correct? In spite of that, very rare of us, we all are there in that context. Although we have all been plagued by so many material desires and impressions, in this lifetime, we have taken to the path of pure devotional service. And our intelligence involved. We have consciously, and Srila Prabhupada uses the word conscientious. With conscientious, with the vivek. Conscience means vivek, every moment vivek. So although we have raised our consciousness to be acknowledged or to call ourselves as devotee of Krishna, this is how we are addressed as Prabhu also, very elevating thing. But still, as far as the conscience is concerned, our vivek, it has to remain jagrit, it has to remain clear or alert all the time. So, how much time is there, Prabhu?
3 more minutes, we can continue.
Okay. So the example which I wanted to, is I was contemplating today, that how we address this focus, how to really expedite our the transformation of our material consciousness, for self-centeredness to be able to see every object, everything around us is an instrument for the service of Krishna. If that is the focus, so the example is a material example I'm going to use, but the focus, it must give us the focus. So this is to become a pure devotee. And especially in our journey, every human being or every male sadhaka wants to become sannyasi. So what is sannyasi consciousness? Sannyasi consciousness is only there. Consciousness is only there. When our observations start converting into seeing the things all around us, including ourselves. It's not that we are excluding ourselves and we will instruct others that everybody, you, Prabhu, you are an instrument of Krishna's service. You are not meant to gratify or separate yourselves. No, including everything means including oneself. We must not exclude ourselves. That could be a big danger. This is often happens that yes, instructions are for others. My vision that I see everything except myself as an instrument of Krishna's service, and that's where we may fail even as a sannyasi. It's quite possible. But the example I want to use which will be very much will be able to relatable. We have this initial focus when we start this path of pure devotee, that I want to become a pure devotee. It is like it's a very lofty idea, correct? It's a very lofty idea, and we start sadhana bhakti with that focus as we take initiation, taking shelter, unconditional shelter, hopefully, of the spiritual master, and we continue, and the struggle with our, the tapasya starts because our tendencies for our animalistic propensity remains there, and the tussle, is like a boxing or the wrestling fight. Our human intellect and our wants to just go towards Krishna and towards Maya. The women for the men and men for the women, they are a representation of Krishna's Maya. So this is a fun game for Krishna. The entanglement into Maya is male or female, and attraction for Krishna also, that possibility is there in this human form of life. So the focus is very strong to begin with. This is the point. As much as the focus for a materialist person to become a very rich, very successful person. I want to become very rich. I want to become a billionaire. And the focus is very strong. He wants to, but he has no idea that why he wants to have so much money. We have no idea what it is like to be a pure devotee, correct? But we are very ambitious, spiritually also, even after. I want to become a pure devotee, and to begin with, we are ready to sacrifice. We show the sacrifice, we show the humility, and everything. As we grow up, we become established as a very wonderful devotee. Lot of credentials, lot of which can be described, which can be numeralized or quantified. And then since we are still living in this realm of material three modes, and three modes, they are not uprooted completely until we become a pure devotee. So the struggle now becomes greater and greater. Whatever we had a desire as a materialist to become very rich, now with the materialist becomes very rich by lot of struggle, lot of austerity, lot of sacrifices for his comfort and gratification. And if he earns lot of money, say 500 crore, that's a lot of money. With that much money, he can accomplish anything which he ever imagined, with the desire to become very rich. But he set a goal very high. He wants to become a billionaire, means 1,000 crore. Arabpati, whatever we want to say. 500 crores when he earns, he has basically able to accomplish anything which he ever imagined even. Same thing is, whatever person with $1 billion, he accomplished. Anyone with 500 crores, 500 millions, he is also able to accomplish anything. So he wonders, well, I got everything, whatever I want. Why to struggle? Why to sacrifice any further? Then now he's focused to become a true billionaire. How far short he is from his original goal, original focus. He's only halfway. He's big time short, but he lost the focus because he got bought into. He got bought into the other glory. He still remains unrealized what it is to be like a true billionaire. For sadhaka, also us, we start with a big goal, pure devotee. As life comes, many accomplishments. They can be compared to our 500 crores. They draw all the attention, all the things and everything. And ultimately, we justify, yes, why not this honor for us, for anything. But the temptation remains there, because until we become pure devotee, this alertness, this protection we have to provide. We have yet, a long way to go. So what is that, the remaining 500 million? That is meeting with Krishna. Uh, to become blessed, that Krishna agrees to show up. Krishna wants to meet us. Janma sarthak hoy tar Krishna darshan hoy jaya. So as long as we have not become that blessed, we haven't got anything yet, because we are still short big time. So that focus is attraction to women. Just think of Kashyap Muni. He has the knowledge to become to, to become a pure devotee, to become absorbed in the absolute. But his obligations, he obliges himself into so many worldly things. Worldly things get the best out of him, not leaves him unaccomplished from a spiritual point of view. So the subject matter is described here in this purport, in these pages. We have discussed unlimitedly, but how to save ourselves as sadhakas from that possibility that we lose our focus to become a pure devotee, the pitfalls, and we justify, because when a person becomes very rich and famous, whatever he does, he justifies. So, even on our path, when sadhakas, when they become well established in their credentials, or in their famous and established, when they find their, because with the devotion also comes the means for gratifying the senses. The only thing they are supposed to save themselves, especially the male sadhakas, to to transcend this necessity to associate with the women. And that trap, that test will follow us, haunt us, all of us. So if we are truly thinking that we are advancing spiritually, and can speak very well and attract many people, and we are acknowledged as a very wonderful devotee, now time to get married. If we have followed sadhana, especially for the men, for this much time, why we would fall deliberately, willingly subjugate ourselves to family life? It is not a necessity. It is not essential. And this could be understood from Srimad Bhagavatam. Loke vivaya mishamadya seva nityahi jantur nahi tatra modana vyavasthitisteshu vivaha yagye suragrahir asu nivritta ishta. The ultimate purpose is nivritta. It is for the conditioned souls, those who cannot. But those who are participating in this Bhagavad culture, studying and understanding, then we are willingly allowing ourselves to be kept by beautiful women. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, I want to stop with this wonderful instruction of Prahlad Maharaj. And Kapil Muni, similar instructions. That, Kapil Muni says, Yopayati Shanair Maya, Yoshit Deva Vinirmita, Samikshetat Mano Mrityum, Trinai Kupam Ivabutam. So the women, ladies, they are created by the Lord. So they are meant for the Lord. Such wonderful instruction Kapil Dev says, the women created by the Lord is the representation of Maya. And one who associates with such Maya by accepting services must certainly know that this is the way of death, just like a blind well covered with grass. And so the situation is very clear, whether we are in Grihasthashram or any other ashram, if we don't address consciously and with conscience what is the role, how we perceive, how we look at the women, how we conduct our affair, as high, as knowledgeable, as advanced we may be as Kashyap Muni, we are not safe. So we have the advantage over Kashyap Muni in the present scenario, because we are totally taking shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is only inducing us to come out of this trap and situate ourselves in the transcendental consciousness, with alert vivek, with our discretion, that we will take the right step, and this is expected by Krishna. So at least we will find this resolve that we will not disappoint Krishna in this present lifetime, and that will allow us the opportunity to be truly proud of ourselves. It is not disallowed. In this way, one is allowed to feel, yes, I am for Krishna. Then one gets the capacity, one gets the energy, one gets the strength, and the author becomes authorized to tell others, yes, go Krishna, go for Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, all the wonderful participants. Any observation you want to express, anything you want to add, or any question, please come forward. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, sir. Thank you, Maharaji. Yeah, if anyone is having any question, they can raise the hand and ask His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Maharaji. Yes, Shyam Kishore Prabhuji, please.
Shyam Kishore, कहिए प्रभु.
आपका आवाज नहीं आ रहा है प्रभु जी. You are unmuted, but we are unable to hear you.
Roddy.
Yeah. Little bit.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj. My question is here in this purport we read that a man should be trained as a first-class devotee of Lord Krishna, and a woman should be trained to be a very chaste follower of her husband. But prior to that, just two verses back, in verse number 40, and the last line of the purport. Last line of the purport, Prabhupada writes that it is a householder life in this Kali Yuga is extremely dangerous unless both the wife and the husband take to Krishna consciousness.
Yes. Yeah, that was the connection.
Both are.
That was the connection. So we are in a very privileged atmosphere. Although we are in Kali Yuga, but those of us who are taking shelter and direction and inspiration and pride in studying Srimad Bhagavatam, that alone will do. So after acknowledging and after taking pride in this transcendental process and the path and the impetus to attain that perfection, in spite of the odds all against us due to Kali Yuga or whatever, is it not essential that we restrict with conscience to save ourselves from the trap? So even within the married life, if a person is thinking now, because I'm duly married, and but this marriage is an sanskara of a dharma aviruddha bhuteshu, dharma kamosmi bhardashabha. Lord Krishna says this natural inclination to associate with women or men, it also represents me. It can also represent me. Within dharma means to have a nice son. This is an obligation. When some special concessions or special rights are given, this right is not given to sannyasis or but those a brahmachari, if he wants to enter his life, then he better follow dharma at least, because ultimate purpose of dharma is to attain perfection or param dharma. So dharma is only in between, stepping stone, but one who is truly blessed, then he can bypass it. So everybody is proud of one's being very intelligent, very advanced, anything. Then why not take pride? That I will transcend, I will bypass this entanglement. You understand? Because getting married does not guarantee that after getting married I will become a pure devotee, or I will be a nice husband, I will be a nice wife. See what happens to Kashyap Muni. So one should, it's a deterring, this episodes of Bhagavatam that deter a truly intelligent person. Don't go Kashyap Muni way, just to save yourself, protect yourself. So knowingly poison. That's why Mahaprabhu says, for an awakened transcendentalist, it is worse than drinking poison knowingly. And it is the fault, most of the time, fault of the devotee parents. It is a big time. Parents should aspire, as once they have taken initiation of the spiritual master, they should think, oh, we have not become sannyasi, we have not become free from all these obligations, but let us raise my male child to become a sannyasi. That infusion, that inspiration they should inculcate, train their children from the very beginning. At least they have done their part. If the parents cannot come to their expectation, then, well, everybody gets married, what a big deal. But that becomes ordinary. But every devotee parent should try to try to make their children extraordinary. If she's a girl, she can be trained very wonderfully. That when you go to in-laws, or when you get that association only for begetting children, that itself will make one the perfect wife, chaste wife. What is the advantage of being a chaste wife? Right? If the act becomes a certified prostitution, So Prabhupada says, licit or illicit, both are illicit if it is not meant for dharma. So if the so-called indulgence with a male or with a wife is for anything other than procreation, then it is illicit sex only. So the training for the man should be go for sannyas. As far as atmosphere of devotees is concerned, So we must be very focused about our true identity, true group. We must take a true pride in being acknowledged as devotees by others. So why should I not become a pure devotee? Others call me devotee. Inside my heart, it pinches me when somebody calls me very highly. I say, my God, where am I? I'm stuck, very low consciousness. So because others expect me to be high, so I must go only high, higher, higher and higher, higher. Because otherwise, if one takes, once I get married, I will become a nice, perfect husband and a perfect wife, whatever. That is not possible. It is not possible. Kashyap Muni is the testimony. All right?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Maharaj. Yeah.
We have one more question, and this can be our last question. Hare Krishna Harpal Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat, all those discussions are there.
So from that incident, whatever is there, so we could understand that knowledge cannot protect one from falling down. So, and you rightly mentioned that we should be focused to become pure devotees. Then that even if there is alluring circumstances, one will not be fallen. So is there anything else that would protect us from falling down?
Association, We have our human vivek, and vivek, we have to protect vivek also. Vivek protects us, but we must also protect the vivek, discretion. And वो कहते हैं ना कि जिस रास्ते जाना नहीं है ना, so why to take the risk? We have by discrimination, we know the pitfalls, we know the things. So just because there is an attraction, why should we entertain our attraction for the matter or something which will deprive us from our increasing attachment and involvement with Krishna? So this Maya representation means which deprives us from Krishna consciousness, to be conscious of Krishna. And beautiful question you asked. The whole idea is how much pride we take that I am a devotee of Krishna. And check it day by day. Every day we have to check. The most is the ultimate title given to the soul. It's devoted to Krishna. So then our appreciation for those who are devoted to Krishna, our focus, our outlook will expand